Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the How Much Can It Get Worse edition of Tech Times Daily. I'll be your host for today, Christian Tejares, and with me is my co-host, Christopher the Non-Stopper, the Learning Conversations and Jovial Banter. He defines drive-bys as an extremely fast McDonald's drive-through run. The great Christopher Short. How are you, Chris?
I'm good, man. Thanks. How are you doing?
Like, it can't get any much worse than anything that we've actually reported on, right?
Right.
So, how was your weekend? How was
My weekend
Mother's
was
Day?
good. Mother's Day was nice, I guess. You know,
Fairly decent.
fairly decent.
Not a
Wasn't
lot
my day.
much to do. Not a lot much to do during Mother's Day. Like if
Yeah,
you and your wife always go out, like I guess it would be just be another day for you, right?
just more people.
Just more people with kids.
Yeah,
Anyway,
flowers
I hope
everywhere.
yeah, I hope our audience actually had a great Mother's Day and didn't forget to buy their wives and mothers gifts. Like
Bro, I seen a post on social media from an old friend, and I didn't comment, but it did spark this entire debate and has her questioning her marriage
ooh,
because apparently her husband, and I don't know, but I don't think they've been married that long, like a year and a half, maybe or two. And
it's barely even a relationship.
bro, and I guess she was highly upset because he told her, uh, "You're not my mom. Why should
Ooh.
I get you any? Why should we do anything? Why should I get you anything for Mother's Day, basically?" And dude, the chicks that was in this comment section, it was like he would be
Wow.
sleeping on the couch. It was like, and that one was like, "That's how my ex-husband was, which is why he's my ex." And then the ladies just posting like facts, 100 thumbs up, and I'm looking through it like, bro,
So he
you don't
just got
realize,
savage, right?
yeah, I don't think he may know now. I'm not sure when that was. I didn't look at the timestamp, but I was like, man,
Well, I guess his mother didn't actually teach him to shut up.
that's what I was thinking. I was like, this is a rookie mistake, man. Like this is very, very
It's like
avoidable.
it's like your wife asking you, "Do I look good in this dress?" Like there's no correct way to answer that.
Right.
Like honesty isn't actually always the best policy.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not, obviously don't lie, but do better, gentlemen. Do better.
Better. Like, there are ways around this.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, speaking of finding ways around problems, like our topic for today comes to us from our Tech Times writer Alden Domingo. State governments could soon approve funding for AI-powered gun detection systems in school. US states are now reportedly considering giving multi-million grants to employ artificial intelligence-powered firearm detectors within schools, given that the technology employed meets stringent criteria. In particular, Kansas may soon provide $5 million in grants. Granted, the AI software must, among other things, be patented, recognized as a qualified anti-terrorism technology, adhere to specific security industry standards, be in use in at least 30 states, and be able to detect three broad classifications of firearms with at least 300 subclassifications and 2,000 permutations. Say that 10 times. Additionally, some businesses are succeeding in state capitals, convincing legislators to incorporate their corporate solutions into state legislation. While this may seem to be a decent solution, would the implementation for AI be a feasible one, Chris, considering it has been hit or miss when it comes to governments utilizing it for the policies?
Uh, okay. Now this is where I feel AI belongs. This type niche. And, it's first, let me say, school violence is an epidemic in the United States, and we got to do whatever we can to somehow mitigate it, right? Like it's just too much at this point. It's been too much for a long time. But I mean, like I said, I think this is where AI belongs, man. Like, yes, put it in there. All those things you said about qualifying here and doing this and being on this list and making sure this thing, great. My thought is obviously humans, teachers, security guards shouldn't just not be vigilant, but this is just an added security that is, I think it's great. I'm 110% for this.
I guess it's much better than arming the teachers, right?
Depends on where the teachers are. Southern teachers, not a problem.
Yeah, they can handle the
Yeah.
firearms.
Northwest teachers probably kill themselves on the way to school.
Yeah, you can't have teachers armed when they're a liberal state. It just won't work.
Yeah, and they're not going to go for it. And I just, and I know this gets said a lot, but like there are instances where in front of the school, it's like it's meant to be comforting and to parents and students and people, and it'll say this is a gun-free zone. You know what that tells psychopathic people that with guns that want to cause mass casualties and mayhem? Little to no pushback in that building.
But it does feel like an airport situation where it suddenly turns to a prison scene, right? Where kids are
Yeah,
gonna be frisked. Like I remember the time when Columbine actually happened. Like there was barely any security that actually stopped them.
right.
So ever since then, it was what decades ago that this happened, and the school
Yeah.
system actually hasn't improved their security when it comes to these things, and the mass shootings in schools actually just increased. Like, why is it that it's just this time when AI was actually developed that this is actually being done? Like, it's not like the security has been heightened for schools over the past years, ever since the shootings that started, I think 20 or 30 years ago.
Well, I mean, there's always been pushback on these things, right? There was even times where people were upset because there's metal detectors at school.
Isn't this just going to be the same? They still have to pass these things.
Uh, I don't know exactly how the layout would be if it's going to be
Like
a
metal detectors are just AIs munching on iron. Like
right. But I mean, it could just be as much as a I don't know, is this an X-ray tech? Like, what's it going to do?
it's very specific. Like they need to be qualified for anti-terrorism technology. 5 million in grants. Would it cut it for 30 states? How many schools are in 30 states?
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of schools.
Do you think 5 million would be enough? Like these are, if when you
Um,
say anti-terrorism technology, these are military grade.
yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, I guess 5 million is maybe I imagine this is kind of like a starter testing phase, right? Like, and that's got to be 5 million for each state, right? Because this is a state level thing. This is not a federal thing.
think about it, is 5 million still actually enough for these machines?
Um,
How many schools are in every state, I guess?
I mean, if that's what they're asking for, they probably have the numbers and things. I imagine they know what. I don't think they're asking for. It's not very government of them to ask for too little. That's for sure. It's probably 2 million is enough, I'm sure, and they want five.
And I think they would want to roll it out in one state to all the schools in one go, because otherwise, if you're just going to be profiling the schools that are more at risk, that's just
Hmm.
still profiling, right? That wouldn't look good.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. But I mean, I'm sure there's some maybe schools in more populated areas, not necessarily profiling just by the numbers. There's just more kids here.
Do a
You
lottery
know,
system. Makes
yeah, like
sense.
the top, I don't know, like the top five most populated schools or something. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm sure there's a way to do it without pissing everybody off. I'm sure. Maybe not, not today. But But like I said, I think this is like this. We talk about this all the time, right? We talked the other day about religion. We've talked about AI being in. Um, I think it's also good in the medical field. I will say, um, but there's some places where AI just makes sense, and the on the offensive in war, no. On the defensive, maybe. You know, to be more vigilant and to protect yourself from more threats than maybe your average human could catch, or even it's cost effective, those type things. Like there's places where it belongs, and I feel like this is one where yes, please take AI and put it in this and do this.
Yeah.
Because I mean, worst case scenario is it misses one, but I mean, if it wasn't there, it wouldn't have been caught anyway. Or kids are getting flagged and not having any weapons, right? Which is, hey, whoops, better safe than sorry. You know what I'm saying? So I'm 100% on board with this. I would petition for this all day.
I just take the 30 states as a requirement as a minimum for companies to actually deliver and this assure sales,
More than
right?
more than
For
half.
companies to companies to actually be assured that they will be getting profit from this, because we have to be honest about this. At the end of the day, someone will be pocketing money off of this policy, right?
Right.
This isn't free. There's a 5 million grant. I think if it's gonna be every state, how many states? 30? That would be what, 600 million or 6 billion? Is my math off?
Million.
Right? So
Yeah.
someone will get a fat pocket out of this. So I think that's basically the assurance that 30 states taking this is for a guaranteed contract for one company to actually provide all this. If it's going to be
Right.
multiple companies, it's going to be a problem because they're going to be setting a standard. So in terms of the tech
Yes.
company, who do we have in the security industry now that's actually leading in AI? They're going to have to look at that. And I
Yeah.
think tech companies now in the security field are salivating over this.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
With
it's
regards to
it's
that,
roughly it's roughly 60% of the US they want to have at least 60%.
there's going
I
to
mean,
be
there's
there's going to be
I don't
bidding
think
over this,
oh,
by the
for
way.
sure.
So the kids are still not going to be at the forefront here.
But no, of
I
course not.
think
Yeah. I mean, this would be a huge contract for a security company. And
I'm just hoping that the money doesn't actually muddy the purpose of this bill.
I don't think so for the most part, because I think most people agree that we want our children to be safe. We want our schools to be safe, right? Like we don't want another Uvalde or any of those things.
Sandy Hook, right?
Yeah, we don't. We just don't. Like no one wants that. And like I said, I mean, a Band-Aid's not going to stop a dam from leaking, but a Band-Aid's better than nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like this is definitely not a bad idea, I don't think.
Do you think if this is actually passed, if all 30 states actually push through, do you think it would lessen the calls for additional gun regulations in the US?
It might. They use this particular issue as their argument a lot. So, but I mean, that entire argument doesn't make sense anyway, because I mean, the best defense against a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. I mean, that's just how it is.
The
You're going to
bad
make
guy
a
with the
law.
gun.
You're going to make
Yeah.
a law and expect criminals who, by definition, do not follow the law to follow the law.
Yeah, sometimes they're much heavily armed with better weapons than the police.
Yeah, yeah. Police standard issue is
Yeah. And I've heard there was
middle of the
complaints
road.
before regarding the police looking like the military now. Has anyone seen the guns being used in the streets now? Even by civilians, they actually no pun intended, outgun the police when it comes to their ammos and their equipment.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's why that's why that whole argument, more gun restrictions will lead to a safer place.
Yeah,
It's just, I mean, look at the UK. People get stabbed all the time. They throw acid and shit in people's face.
there are countries without guns like Australia and New Zealand. Is it
Yeah,
New Zealand? They have gun laws there, right?
yeah, I think so. I know Japan does too. Like only in Japan, it's the police and the gangsters. So the
It
citizens
For
are
Japan,
just,
it didn't actually matter because we had the former prime minister killed with a homemade
yeah, with a
weapon.
homemade weapon.
I'm like, suddenly scarcity brings out ingenuity. Like,
I mean, that's what he learned that shit from some platform. I'm not going to say which
right?
one, but
Not gonna
uh,
mention.
that's what I heard. I don't know. But yeah, when you make these laws, only the law-abiding citizens are affected. So you're punishing the people that do the right thing while giving the psychopaths and the criminals and the malicious people an advantage. Makes no sense to me. This entire argument makes no sense. I'm also for arming teachers.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea because I mean, just think about it. If you want, if you want to go a school, bro, that's like an obstacle course. You know what I'm saying? There's hallways, there's doors everywhere. You don't know where somebody's going to jump out with a gun on you.
but I guess
And
for my part, like I'm not against guns, but in a sense, I want someone who is mentally sound to actually own one, not one who
yeah,
is insane. So I am for the mental health checks
right, right. Of course.
for owning a weapon. And teachers are the most unstable when it comes to their mentalities in handling kids. So
Well, I mean, I guess it's all fun and game. I mean, you got these teachers, you see it in the news every day. These teachers are banging their students. So,
I just remembered an episode from Shameless where the teachers and the principals were actually buying guns off the students. So I don't know if it's actually normal in the U.S. Schools for that to happen.
no, I
Again, it's
don't
a
think so.
show, it's a work of fiction, but
Yeah.
some parts of it actually bleed over, I guess.
Yeah, have you seen White Boy Rick?
No, I haven't.
It's a true story. It's pretty good. He starts out as a gun runner and he ends up working with the FBI and stuff. It's pretty good. Um, True story. The FBI screwed him though. They lied to him and used him as bait and stuff. But anyway, like yeah, America does have a history of love and guns.
Mm,
I mean, a perfect example is the Childish Gambino record, "This Is America."
yeah, pretty much
It,
says
it
it all.
it does, right? Like that's very much how it
It's
is. And
it's the perfect combination of the First Amendment and the Second Amendment all in one video,
yeah,
right?
mm,
Like I defend what you're saying, but I also have the right to shoot you if I don't agree.
right. Well, this is America. You might get shot. Don't let them catch you slipping up.
On a much lighter note, like this is actually good news if it's passed. Like anything that can help lessen school shootings is actually good news.
Yeah,
Do you
I agree.
see any aspects in the U.S. life that this could actually also help? Like where can it actually also be implemented?
Um, Other than us being constantly surveilled, I mean, any establishment really. You know, it'll stop robberies. Well, not stop them, but it would, you know, people would think twice before entering a place with a concealed weapon. Uh, Airports,
Yeah,
um,
especially that one. I guess anyone that can actually lessen the burden of going through LAX would actually agree.
yeah, you know, if this technology was even commercial, like, you know, in your home, um, you know, it could be. I don't want it on the street just because. it's a little invasive because like you have to be in the street. You don't have to go into a store, and obviously they're going to have this the premise is protected by AI detection system, whatever it might say.
My
So then you
question
have
is,
an option whether or not you go in there, but you got to walk down the street. So I don't want to be surveilled on the street, but other places, yeah. If you
but
decide
there
to go in
are among the 30 states that actually is being required. Are the open carry states actually disqualified for this one?
no, I don't think so. Even open carry states, I don't think you can take a gun in school.
Hmm.
Leave it in the car.
But it's
Leave
good
it
to
at
bring
home.
it in McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
In case they get your
Oh,
order wrong.
yeah. Yeah.
One less piece of McNuggets. They're gonna
Yeah.
correct that mistake immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. Happy meal for that ass. But yeah, I mean, I
Well,
think it's great, man. I hope they do it tomorrow.
this is the government we're talking about. If you say they're gonna be doing it tomorrow, you'll be having grandkids by the time they implement it.
Well, they can expedite everything else. They can get fucking Ukraine 100 gajillion dollars within a few hours. I don't see why they can't do this really quick. It's a little more important.
Well, in terms of accreditation for this, like all of the criteria that they're asking, it seems like there's only one company that's actually accredited for all of the criteria, which is actually Zero Eyes. Like,
Okay.
so any other competition for them, I guess at this point is still unknown, right? Because all the things they're asking, it's
Oh,
a
they'll be
bit of a
popping up.
high of it's a bit of a high of an ask for now. But I guess in the next couple of months we'll be seeing a couple of companies actually providing the same service.
Oh yeah. Once they, I
So
mean, all they got to do is get the proprietary technology, um, and get it accredited.
yeah, and a bit of working around the patents because if it's gonna be measured in just one criteria, like they're all gonna be the same,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
They're
I
they're,
mean, it
they're
could,
all gonna be working the same.
yeah. I think it's fucking fantastic, man. Like I said, I'm going to say it one more time before we go. If there's anywhere that AI should be implemented, it's for safety.
Yeah, and baby talk translations.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna
I mean,
help a lot
that's,
of kids. Baby talk translations and guns.
I seen it. I remember when I was a kid, I seen an episode of Oprah where this lady said she had cracked the code of baby cries.
How?
I don't know. She had some like hypersensitive hearing or some crazy shit. I don't know. This was in like the 90s. Like she could tell if it like because it's whatever's bothering the baby. Like if it's hungry, that's one cry. If it's shit itself, that's another cry. If it's I don't know if it's itching, that's another cry. Yeah, I remember that. But anyway,
I'm gonna have to check that out. You made me curious. Like I
yeah,
was supposed to say, was it back when Oprah was good? But then I remembered it was never good. So,
yeah, it's back when she was fat. That
well,
was
anyway,
before everybody got cars.
yeah, and Tom Cruise was a bit likable back then.
That's actually where he lost his likability was on her show.
Yeah, jumping the couch,
Mm.
then
That's when
afterwards jumping
like,
the
what?
shark.
Everybody was like, "What the fuck is this? Why is he what?" It's like I'm so in love. It's like, no, bitch, you on Scientologist. She got your mind going crazy.
It was. I was actually thinking of since we mentioned fictional movies before. Like, have you watched American Made
Yes,
by Tom Cruise?
he
That's the
plays the
type of
pilot.
story that's the type of story you would think was fiction, but it's actually true story. Everything that happened to him.
Yep. And it's related to the Clintons, right?
Yeah,
That's when Clinton
thinking
was the governor of Arkansas.
I was thinking to myself watching it like, no way, these things actually happened to just one man.
Crazy. Yeah. Have you watched Baby Reindeer?
I haven't. Is it any good? I keep hearing a lot of things about it.
I binged it. I binged it on Friday, I think.
Hmm.
Was it Friday
Well,
or Saturday? Friday. I binged it on Friday.
I got something to do after this podcast, so might as well look at it.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Uh, do the show and then YouTube the interviews and everything. It'll be like, yeah, the show,
How many
man.
episodes are there?
six or seven or whatever it is. Six maybe. Might be eight. I'm not sure. I binged it in one night, so probably like six.
Yeah,
The
I'll
limited
watch it
series.
afterwards. Like
Yeah. Pretty good.
I'm gonna be busy with the watching The Boys season
Mm,
4, right? This
right.
coming June.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a quick watch, man, relatively speaking.
Mm. Anyway, that's it for our episode today for Tech Times Daily. Thank you for joining us. Please, again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. And again, we do value your comments. Please leave them in the comment section below. I think that's the most important things in our lives right now when doing these podcasts because we do
Mm,
want to interact with you guys. Like
yeah.
if we say anything wrong here, please call us out. It's education for all of us, which I think is lacking now.
And I
Again,
think that's the point here.
yep. Again, on behalf of my co-host, the great Christopher Short, we'll see you in the next.